The Liberty Bell, Introducing Primary Sources, by Tamara B. Orr. Using primary sources. Have you ever read an old letter or looked through a photo album? These items help you see through the eyes of people who lived before you. A boy poses in front of the Liberty Bell at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. Letters, photos, paintings, and newspaper articles are examples of primary sources. They are made at the time of an event. The Liberty Bell is also a primary source. Liberty Bell at a glance. Originally cast by Whitechapel Bell Foundry in 1752. Recast by John Pass and John Stowe in 1753. Currently displayed at Liberty Bell Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Made out of copper, tin, lead, zinc, gold, and silver. Weighs 1 ton, 0.9 metric ton. Crack in the bell is 0.5 inch, 1.3 centimeters wide, and 24.5 inches, 62.2 centimeters long. Sending a message. During colonial times, it was hard for American colonists to send messages to everyone at once. There were no telephones or TVs. A 1913 painting of the newly cast Liberty Bell. Instead, colonists rang large bells in town squares. Bells were rung to call meetings, share news, and signal danger. A drawing of a man ringing the Liberty Bell in 1776. Cast and recast. Government leaders in Pennsylvania ordered a bell in 1751. They wanted to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Charter of Privileges. The first bell cracked and broke. John Pass and John Stowe were hired to recast the bell. In 1753, they recast it twice to get the sound just right. Fact. Governor William Penn created the Charter of Privileges in 1701. The charter established laws for the colonists. The Pennsylvania Charter of Privileges. The bell was placed in the Pennsylvania State House. It was used to ring in important events and gather people together. Fact. The bell was originally called the State House Bell. It was not called the Liberty Bell until the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. The State House in Philadelphia in 1752, shown on a map. Reading the Bell. The Liberty Bell has 3 sentences engraved on it. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all inhabitants thereof. This first sentence is from the Bible. It means people who live in the colony have freedom. Sentences on the Liberty Bell. By order of the Assembly of the Province of Pennsylvania for the State House in Philadelphia. This means the bell was ordered for the Pennsylvania State House in Philadelphia. The words Pennsylvania and Philadelphia were spelled differently during this time. Pass and Stowe, MDCCLIII. This last line shows the names Pass and Stowe. These men melted the first bell down and recast it. MDCCLIII is the Roman numeral for 1753, the year the bell was made. Hiding the bell. During the Revolutionary War, American Colonel Benjamin Flower and his soldiers removed all the bells in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They wanted to protect them. The British Army was coming. British soldiers would melt American bells into cannonballs. A mural from 1976 shows soldiers moving the Liberty Bell out of Philadelphia. The American soldiers moved quickly. They put the bells on wagons. The Liberty Bell was hidden under the floor of the Old Zion Reformed Church in Allentown, Pennsylvania. After the British Army left, it was returned to Philadelphia. Fact: the Old Zion Reformed Church also served as an American military hospital during this time. Wounded soldiers never knew what was hidden underneath them. The Revolutionary War. During the Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, the 13 American colonies were fighting for their independence from Great Britain. Colonists wanted to start their own country and make their own laws. The war ended in 1783 when Great Britain signed the Treaty of Paris. This gave America its freedom at last. The Treaty of Paris, signed on September 3, 1783. Slavery and the Liberty Bell. Years later, during the Civil War, the Liberty Bell was seen as a symbol of freedom. Those against slavery put images of the Liberty Bell on their signs and posters. Fact: people who were against slavery during the Civil War were called abolitionists. They felt everyone had the right to be free. A paper announcing an anti-slavery meeting in Lawrence, Kansas on December 8, 1859. The Civil War. The North and the South battled over many issues during the Civil War. Southern states wanted to make their own laws. Northern states wanted one united country. One of the biggest issues of the war was slavery. The North won the Civil War, and slavery came to an end. An anti-slavery banner used by William Lloyd Garrison at anti-slavery fairs and festivals in Massachusetts. Crack. The Liberty Bell has a long crack down the middle. Some people believe the bell cracked in 1824 when Revolutionary War General Lafayette visited Philadelphia. Others say the crack was made in 1835, during the funeral of Supreme Court Justice John Marshall. Still other people say the crack was made celebrating George Washington's birthday in 1846. An 1894 drawing of the Marquis de Lafayette in Philadelphia on September 28, 1824, during his tour of the United States. The crack was too big to repair. The Liberty Bell was taken out of service. Now the bell is only gently tapped for special events, such as the end of World War II, 1939 to 1945. The crack on the side of the Liberty Bell. Honoring the bell. John Philip Sousa was a famous composer. In 1893, he wrote the Liberty Bell March. Like many of Sousa's songs, the Liberty Bell March had no words. Some believe Sousa got the idea for the title because his son was in a parade for the Liberty Bell. Sheet music of the Liberty Bell March from 1894. In 1918, 25,000 soldiers at Camp Dix in New Jersey stood together. They formed a giant Liberty Bell. They wanted to honor the national symbol. Photo of soldiers from Camp Dix forming the Liberty Bell in 1918. Students in San Francisco, California wanted to see the Liberty Bell for themselves. In 1915, 500,000 students signed a petition to get the Liberty Bell to California. A photo of Blackfeet Chief Little Bear standing in front of the Liberty Bell in San Francisco in 1915. The bell was loaded onto a train and taken across the country. Everywhere the bell stopped, huge crowds were waiting to see it. The Liberty Bell on display in San Francisco in 1915. A photo of the Liberty Bell Parade in Fort Wayne, Indiana on July 6, 1915. Women's right to vote. In 1915, women were fighting for the right to vote. A protester named Catherine Wentworth Ruschenberger had a replica made of the Liberty Bell. The 2,000-pound, 907-kilogram bell was called the Justice Bell. The clapper was chained so the bell could not ring. This represented women's voices at the time, which were silenced without the right to vote. Women used the Justice Bell for their protests across Pennsylvania. Fact: to help raise money, women sold small versions of the Justice Bell to the public. This helped pay for the protesters' food and lodging. A photo of the Justice Bell being cast in the early 1900s. In September 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed. This gave women the right to vote. The Justice Bell's clapper was unchained. The bell rang for the first time. The Justice Bell is now at the Washington Memorial Chapel in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. A photo of women protesters in front of the Justice Bell in 1916. Civil rights. During the 1960s, Black Americans were fighting for their civil rights. They wanted the same rights as white Americans. They gave speeches, marched in parades, and held protests. 1963 photo of civil rights protesters marching to Washington, D.C. Sometimes protesters sat in public places for hours. These were called sit-ins. In 1965, protesters held a sit-in next to the Liberty Bell. They wanted to show people that freedom was for everyone. Protesters sit at the base of the Liberty Bell during a sit-in for civil rights. The Liberty Bell today. Today, the Liberty Bell sits across the street from Independence Hall in Philadelphia. About 1 million people visit the bell each year. This American symbol still reminds people what the United States was founded on: freedom. A photo of the Liberty Bell at the Liberty Bell Center in Philadelphia. Fact: during the bicentennial celebration in 1976, 3.2 million people visited the Liberty Bell. This is the highest number of visitors recorded so far. Keeping it safe. For many years, visitors could touch the Liberty Bell. That changed in 2001. Someone hit the Liberty Bell with a hammer and scratched it. Now visitors can only look at the bell from a distance.